Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for spending part of your night with us tonight. A lot to get to. Unelected bureaucrats. That's what we're going to start with tonight. We've seen the judges doing it over the last few months with Trump back in office, whether it be defending illegals or whatever's on their agenda. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, that was the man who was brought back here to America where he was living illegally from El Salvador to face multiple charges from the Department of Justice. He's now sitting in a prison cell in Tennessee, but the judge has agreed to give him bail. Prosecutors this afternoon warning the judge, as soon as you let him out, we are going to deport him once again. This time, it's not going to be to El Salvador. It's going to be perhaps to somewhere a little bit worse. And that's after the Supreme Court this week ruled that President Trump is allowed to do that third-party country deportations to people who are here illegally. So good luck, Mr. Abrego Garcia. Your new home awaits you, and we'll soon find out where it's going to be. Speaking of unelected bureaucrat, Marxist, leftist, elitists, a lot of words to get out there. We've got another one. Elizabeth McDonough, who's the Senate head of the Senate parliamentary procedures, striking down several key parts of the big, beautiful bill, which we're waiting on now any day for the Senate to vote on that. The parts that she says were not allowed to be in there procedurally, very coincidental. The defunding of Medicaid for illegal aliens and defunding gender-affirming care under Medicaid and CHIP, citing the Byrd Rule. McDonough also axed the Medicare provider tax, which complicates to the Senate's GOP math on the spending cuts it needs to pass the legislation. It's unbelievable. Some other key items that she has rejected from the bill: the federal government's defunding of sanctuary cities, defunding the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was, of course, one of the main targets of DOGE, the EPA's effort to roll back electric vehicle mandates. You remember Joe Biden signed like an $8 million contract for 8 electric charging stations. They could have paid me half of that, and I would have went out there and figured out a way to install them. $8 million, $1 million each. Doesn't make much sense. And a proposal to restrict federal courts from issuing nationwide injunctions. Somehow, Ms. McDonough figured out all these things that are not procedurally correct side with the Marxist dems. She's clearly a partisan hack. She was appointed back in 2012 when Harry Reid ran the Senate. But why is she still in charge? Why are the Republicans allowing this woman to run the Senate? Unelected bureaucrat. John Thune, what are you doing? Why is this woman from the Harry Reid days sitting here telling you what you can and can't do? I mean, it's absurd and ridiculous to think that Republicans are this dumb. It's like the deep state intel agencies. We still have people down there in the basements of these buildings undermining Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe and Pete Hegseth. Why are these people still employed? Speaking of Pete Hegseth, hell of a day for him, taking on Jennifer Griffin of Fox News for who she is. We're going to get to that with our guest today in just a few moments. Tony Shaffer, former lieutenant colonel, retired, and president of Project Sentinel. Great American, so much to get to, and we're going to get to all that with him. But first, CNN is doing damage control. You remember that reporter who leaked? Somehow she got this report leaking that the attacks on the nuclear sites in Iran were unsuccessful. CNN is backtracking now. Take a listen to Brian Stelter.
There's so much more reporting to do on this topic. This is a very complex matter, even though Trump tried to make it sound simple on Saturday night. It's really important to note what CNN did not report. CNN did not report that this mission was a failure. Far from it. It may have turned out to be a tremendous success. We just don't know all the facts yet, and neither does the U.S. government.
Now they're saying they don't know the facts after CNN came out and reported that the strikes are unsuccessful? Now you say they're unsuccessful, that we don't know enough after you've put out a report, probably illegally, leaking classified information live on air? I was going to say for millions of people, but millions of people don't watch your network. And they sent out Brian Stelter. Wasn't that guy fired? What is he still doing on there? But it's sort of interesting because they're clearly in damage control right now. And one of their the national correspondents was on the network this afternoon and painted a far different picture than that Natasha lady who's been reporting that the strikes were unsuccessful.
What we now know from that briefing, first time we know it, is that as it was designed, as these massive ordnance penetrators with significant computer software engineering went directly down those 3 ventilator shafts, specifically as designed. And until you actually do it, you never know if it's going to work. It worked. It seems to have worked flawlessly. That is very important information. He also pointed out some things we take for granted. You know, a Patriot interceptor is traveling at 3,000 miles an hour, about Mach 4, to hit a ballistic missile, traveling at about 6,000 miles an hour, Mach 8. This is really difficult. We take for granted how this stuff all works. I thought that was very important to lay out. So as I come out of this briefing, I now know BDA level 2, as I mentioned. Level 1, first 24 hours, you're looking at imagery. Level 2, did the ordnance work? Did everything go as we had wanted? The answer now is yes. And we're now in the phase of level 3, collecting all sources of information and then putting that together with nuclear experts to determine if they have these pieces and parts here, could they reconstitute them? With some political analysts to say, would the Iranians do that? What would be the restraints? To then have a comprehensive assessment of where we are. With the objective being Iran can never have a nuclear weapon and its enrichment program has to be completely destroyed. I think from what I've seen, the 20,000 centrifuges, you had about 17,000 in Natanz, about 3,000 in Fordo, they are all completely destroyed. I am very confident those centrifuges are gone. The Israelis destroyed the centrifuge manufacturing production facilities that we know of. Isfahan, which is the conversion facility, key part of the fuel cycle, also appears to have been destroyed. So if you add it up from what we're seeing, massive catastrophic setback for Iran's program. The term of art, obliterated, destroyed, I kind of step out of that. This is an analytical process. It's important for the professionals now in the intelligence community to be able to do their work without political pressure and come out with their assessments. And we'll know soon enough. There's a lot of work going on here from U.S. intelligence agencies, from Mossad and the Israelis, from other partners. But I thought that briefing was important. We now know that operation that was developed over multiple administrations worked exactly as it was designed. So I didn't know that. I couldn't have confirmed that 24 hours ago. I now know those 3 ventilators, they went down there and it worked. That's new. And that means probably Fordo is rendered inoperable for the foreseeable future, probably forever.
Those 2 numbskulls on CNN sat there dumbfounded. How could he be saying this on air? We've been reporting for days that the attacks, the strikes on the facilities didn't even happen. Because they're so dumb to realize how the bunker buster works. It penetrates the earth on a small circumference, likely the circumference of the missile, and goes 200, 300 feet into the earth and explodes down there and spreads. This is all bedrock. It wasn't going to collapse, but it certainly destroyed whatever was down there. I mean, it's common sense. You hit them with how many missiles in a small region, and you think that the missile just went into the earth and that was it? Sometimes I wonder, and I try to be nice on this show and I try to be respectful, but it's so hard with these people who hate America. But sometimes I wonder, are they really this dumb, or do they just hate America? Do they want America to cease to exist? Because all the reporting from CNN and MSNBC and even Fox News undermines everything America is doing, Donald Trump is doing, his administration is doing, keeping us safe here at the homeland. They cried for years that Donald Trump harbored top secret information. The only man, by the way, who's allowed to take it. The only man who was able to declassify it. They cried for years. Yet CNN goes on air and leaks top secret information? Who are they working for? Who's paying their bills? So now, as all this happens, Donald Trump is reportedly in talks with Netanyahu about ending the war in Gaza in the next 2 weeks. This would be a massive step forward. But Donald Trump ran that he was going to end this thing as soon as he possibly could. They're now talking a 2-week timeline. Here's some key provisions from what this negotiation is reportedly looking like right now. Gaza hostilities will conclude within 2 weeks. Ending conditions will encompass 4 Arab nations, including Egypt and the UAE, to administer to the Gaza Strip, replacing the murderous Hamas terrorist organization. The replacing Hamas leadership will face exile to other countries while the hostages gain freedom. Number 2, multiple nations globally will accept numerous Gaza refugees who seek to leave the nation. America will not be one of those places. Abraham Accords expansions will bring in Syria, Saudi Arabia, and additional Arab and Muslim countries to recognize Israel and establish official relations. This will be massive. Israel will declare its willingness for future Palestinian conflict resolution under the, quote, 2 states concept, contingent upon the Palestinian Authority reforms. So this is now Israel that they're looking to agree to this. And lastly, the United States will acknowledge limited Israeli sovereignty implementation in Judea and Samaria. This is massive. This is absolutely massive for President Trump and the administration. If they can get this done. Next up on the list will be Ukraine and Russia. And I think if you could end these 2 conflicts, these 2 wars, whatever you want to call them, things really start to fall in place with Iran and anyone else who wants death to America. What Donald Trump is doing here is very simple, yet so complex. He's forming a coalition of nations and bringing Israel into it, into the Middle East. A coalition of nations that on the world stage will stand up against Iran. And he's backing them into a corner that, quite frankly, I don't think they'll be able to get out of once it's all said and done. It's sort of like a horseshoe. Iran sits in there with the horseshoe with all the surrounding nations. And what I believe Donald Trump is doing is having every single one of those nations form a coalition with America and with Israel to let Iran know, you guys, your tyranny is done. You will not bully anybody anymore. And if you think you're going to get off a nuclear weapon or bring it above ground or whatever you think you're going to do, you will be completely obliterated. And it might not even be from America. It may just be from one of those surrounding nations. Because what these idiots in Iran don't realize is any nuclear weapon they launch, if it's at Israel, the dust and the wind with the jet stream, it's going to blow right back in their faces. So it would be beneficial if these people just simply opened up a chart of jet streams. They don't even have to know how to read. It's a picture diagram showing them arrows which way the wind blows. I think it would be beneficial to them. Just moments, we're going to be joined by my good friend Tony Shaffer, retired Lieutenant Colonel, president of Project Sentinel, a brilliant, brilliant man when it comes to Middle East and politics on the world stage.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Tony Shaffer, as always, it's wonderful to have you back here. Thank you for taking some time.
Thanks, John.
I want to begin with first the Ayatollah Khamenei coming out of his little dirt hole that he's been hiding in for the past 2 weeks like a little rat, right? This man is barking all this nonsense out of a hole, but has been hiding, right? Hiding. Comes out today and has some choice words that America, I'm going to read you the direct quote. The Islamic Republic delivered a heavy slap to the U.S.'s face. It attacked and inflicted damage on Al Udeid Air Base, which is one of the key U.S. bases in the region. That's not true, right?
No, it's not true. I actually have friends who were there and have been texting with me. They texted with me before and after the attack. The Qataris, whatever you want to call, I don't know how you say Qatar people, Qataris were able to warn and stop the missiles with their own Patriot battles. And, sadly, it's true, John, Khamenei was successful in destroying 14 of our GBU 47s with their bunkers. Their bunkers did destroy 14 of our bombs. That's true. So there you go. That is sadly true.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me is they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. One day it's we want peace, we're ready to negotiate, and then today he sends out 6 or 7 tweets at a time. The U.S. president stated, quote, "Iran must surrender." Needless to say, the statement is too big coming out of the U.S. president's mouth. We're not asking for much, just no nuclear weapons. We're not asking you to change your regime. We're not asking you about your human rights abuses that you're doing in your country. None of that. It's just the nuclear weapon. Why is that so hard for them to just get on the same page as the rest of the world?
Because the predicate for the nuclear weapon is a religious belief. The belief in the 12th Imam. I believe it's the 12th. Basically, they believe within the Shia, not the Sunni. The Sunni are the Arabs. The Shia version of Islam to create conditions for Muhammad to return, you have to basically end the world. You got to blow it up. And I'm not joking about this. I mean, we've always known that Islam is a pretty wacky religion. Can I say that and get away with it? I think I can. And the belief of the Shia, not the Sunni, the Sunni have some pretty severe beliefs. Remember, the 9/11 hijackers were Sunni versions of Islam. Just saying, they're not without fault. Yeah. But the Shia believe that destroying Jerusalem and creating conditions for the return of the 12th Imam will essentially allow them to win the war against the Sunni. Now, I'm really simplifying it because I'm not a scholar, but that's why. Because, John, they believe that having that nuclear weapon will be necessary to basically fulfill the prophecy of their religion. That's why they won't give it up.
But, Tony, at the end of the day, this is how it all ends. And I'm about 99% convinced. And like you said, we're not experts, but I'm 99% convinced that if the time comes where we believe they're ready to launch off a weapon, the place is going to be leveled. The Ayatollah is going to be at his hands and knees. So they're not going to get anything off. So what's the end game plan here? Do they want their country leveled? Because Donald Trump doesn't want to do it, but he will.
Yeah, so 2 things. And the other thing, nobody's spoken about this, but I guess it's the goodest time as any to bring it up. The Israelis have several hundred nuclear weapons, just saying. I know we don't like talking about it, but they do. And if they ever feel threatened, I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to see those things used. So the combination of us and the Israelis, there's no way they would ever successfully deploy a nuclear weapon. That is the Iranians. With that said, also, they believe that we're weak. The Iranians believe we're weak. And by the way, up until this president, the first term and this president now, it was true. Bush, even I love President Reagan. Even the Reagan guys didn't go as hard at the Iranians as they should have, based on what happened in the Beirut bombing of the Marine Corps barracks, the kidnapping and assassination of the station chief. That was all the Iranians, and we did not do enough to deter them. And this is what's returned: deterrence. President Trump is not going to mess around. He'll give them an opportunity. Like when I say 60 days, I mean 60 days, not 61. So it's very clear that they still are not fully convinced that President Trump's going to follow through, and I'm convinced he is.
So the only way this works, Tony, and it sounds like a broken record saying it, but it's like these people are just so damn stupid. The Islamic Republic is tweeting out yesterday that they will continue to promote and build up their nuclear program under all odds. If they do launch a nuclear weapon, where do you think, in your best judgment, it would be aimed at?
Jerusalem, no doubt. They believe by defeating the Jews, destroying the Jews, that will indeed win them the war. Remember, Jerusalem is one of the holy sites of Islam as well. Mecca, Medina, and the rock there. I can't remember the name. But it's one of the Islamic sites. The Islamists are going to call in and complain. It's okay. Anyway, my point being is that the issues regarding the belief, their faith, that's what drives them. Remember, their version of Islam is not rational. They believe their God will protect them. Well, so far he really didn't. Just saying, Allah has not been there for them, and I don't think it's going to be there for them going forward. But they still believe somehow that they're going to get through, and they're going to get a weapon, and they're going to be able to do what they're saying they want to do.
The only problem is it seems every time with these people they're taken out, as Donald Trump likes to say, like dogs, and that's exactly how we're taken out. Rob O'Neill is a very good friend of mine. He does some really good tweeting. And he tweeted on Father's Day to Osama bin Laden. He said, "I walked in your house, I looked at your kids in the face, I looked at your wife in the face, and I shot your husband in the head." And these people go out like dogs. They come out on their knees like absolute slobs. My question to you, Tony, is if a nuclear weapon does hit, God forbid, Israel one day, Jerusalem, wherever, why is Jordan not speaking up? Why is Saudi Arabia not speaking up?
Good question.
The jet stream is going to wipe them all out. And Iran is, Tony,
you're right.
Pissing in the wind.
So let's break that down a little bit. So the Saudis have already purchased their nuclear weapons. They're sitting in a warehouse in Rawalpindi. And they've also purchased nuclear launch systems from the Chinese. The Chinese are provided ballistic missile technology, and they can mount them all very quickly. So at the moment there's a confirmed deliverable nuclear weapon from Iran, the Saudis arm up. And this is one of the things we've been trying to avoid, another nuclear weapons race in the Middle East. And what happens if one is used? Well, I can tell you there's going to be a big glass bowl that used to be called Tehran. And I don't think there's going to be any messing around with that, at least not if President Trump's in charge. I think there's always been fear if a progressive or Democrat presidents in office, they may not show resolve. And I think that's why if there's going to be a nuclear blast from Iran or one of the other nations, it's going to be during a Democrat regime. As a matter of fact, we believed under threat analysis when Tulsi Gabbard was still a member of Congress that little rocket man, Kim Jong-un, was thinking he could get away with launching a high altitude EMP event in the Pacific and basically putting lights out in Hawaii, and there wouldn't be any response from Biden. Just saying. So, or before that, Obama. So
let me ask you this, and if you know the answer to it, I don't want you to answer. If you're speculating, then I want you to answer because of your background and your security clearances. America obviously has nuclear weapons. Do you believe our nuclear weapons are only located in America, or do you think they're strategically placed around the world?
Oh, no. We have forward-based nuclear weapons with our allies. I think we pretty much acknowledged that we have a number of global locations that we have weapons forward-based.
Where do you believe they are?
Some of them are in Europe. We've acknowledged Europe. I think some of them are in the Pacific. I think Hawaii is probably a number of weapons that are available. The Navy used to have a certain number of ships with nuclear weapons on them. That policy is returned. I don't know which ships have the weapons, but some of them do. And then obviously we have the Air Force that has their ability to maintain certain forward basing of weapons as well, certain bases. So that's all apparent. The other thing, there's discussion of the Army, which I'm all for, by the way, being an Army guy, that the Army should return to being a nuclear service because we, during the end of the Cold War, lost our nukes based on the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. We've departed that treaty, so maybe it's time we get our intermediate range nuclear missiles back. That is the Army. So
this may be a stupid question. Can you launch a nuclear weapon from an airplane?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a number. Yeah, we've actually done it. Yeah.
I'm saying the new technology, not the hydrogen bomb. The new technology now that we have with the warheads and the missiles they're locked onto. What's the size of one in your best guess relative to like this bunker buster?
We have a range of weapons, John. We got everything. I'm saying nuclear. Yeah, I'm saying nuclear too. We have essentially the latest version of the W63. I think it's W63, 6313 is called dial a nuke. So you can actually dial up and down what effect you have. Some of these, and we have 500 megaton weapons. Hiroshima was between 10 and 15, so 500 megatons is quite a bit. We used to have megaton weapons. Kilotons, 500 kiloton weapons, which are 1 to 5 kilotons was the Hiroshima weapon. We used to have megaton weapons, which I think are available but not deployed. So we have a range of weapons that are designed to do a variety of things. And then, by the way, we have some level of standoff capability. That's why the B-52s are still in service, because we can launch nuclear weapons via missile from B-52s.
I hear every day about the products you all wish My Pillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard My Pillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use My Pillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all My Pillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard My Pillows absolutely free.
I want to turn to that attack in Iran. I saw you had tweeted this out this morning, and I saw the video going through my my morning scroll of Jennifer Griffin of Fox News and Pete Hegseth about that strike in Iran. Take a watch.
Highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally.
I don't
what the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night, and in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the
issues.
the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
Before we get to your response, honey, this woman has absolutely zero respect. I work for her at Fox, and I agree with it. But Tucker Carlson, whatever people think of him, people have changed opinion. I always have the same opinion of Tucker. I have a great deal of respect for him. I speak to him quite often. Had this to say about Jennifer just last week.
The crazy thing is Jen Griffin is a liar, but also very liberal. Wow, true Trump hater, to the point where I complained about her, and I really tried not to complain about other people at Fox when I worked there, because I don't like that, office politics stuff. But she was discrediting the channel. She was such a Trump hater. And it was emotional, like her internal memos, from the Pentagon, sources are telling us, were like screeds. It was like, oh, I'll just read Political Playbook if that's what, or whatever. I'll read Mother Jones. And I said to an executive at Fox, what are we doing with this Jennifer Griffin person? She's an idiot. She doesn't tell the truth. She misleads our viewers. And she's like a screaming liberal who hates Trump, who our viewers love. So what are we getting out of this? And I was like, whatever. It's like, boy, you could not touch Jennifer Griffin. I don't know what that's about.
There's so many people, Tony, at Fox from personal experience just like that. Jackie Heinrich being another one of them. I mean, this is insane. We can't get real news, Tony, to the American people.
Yeah. So let me hit this from several different angles. First, a lot of the viewers know I was on with Lou all the time. You all know that. I was friends with Lou.
Lou loved
I
you.
was friends with Catherine Herridge. I spent a lot of time at the Pentagon. And Lou knew this. Lou knew that I was advising Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Joe Dunford, fighting Joe Dunford during the first term of the Trump administration. Matter of fact, full disclosure, I was advising him during the Obama time as well, just saying. And the one person I never talked to about what I was doing with the chairman was Jennifer Griffith. Never. If I had something I wanted to get out, I go to my friend Catherine Herridge, who, for the record, is a real reporter. That's right. Because Griffith, even in the pre-Trump days, during the Obama days, had an agenda. That agenda has to do with, can I say it, the deep state? And that's why she was maintained despite internal complaints. A lot of people complained about her, to include people I just may have mentioned. Just saying.
Yeah.
It was terrible. So Jennifer Griffith is an activist, not a reporter, and I think it's very clear what's going on. Trump just was the final straw that made her become more apparent in her disdain. And Pete, my friend Pete Hicks, has every right to go after her. Just saying.
Some respect. It's a dangerous. Go ahead.
Well, no, and then the second point is a lot of us have left working with Fox, right? We all did. We
happily,
were,
Tony.
So point in time, John, I don't know if you knew this. One of the bookers who's over at Newsmax, now I won't use her name, called me when Lou was still at Fox and said I was put on the no-fly list at Fox because, I was daring to say things that Fox did not like. And Lou didn't care. Lou wanted me to come on his show and say the truth. And so apparently after certain points, both Chris Farrell from Judicial Watch and I were banned from Lou's show. Just saying.
I know exactly who the booker you're talking about. Tell her I said hello when you see her. And I hope she's doing well. But no, that's exactly true, Tony. And I'll tell you about the no-fly list at Fox because people don't really know about it. As a matter of fact, Matt Schlapp reached out to me about it a few months ago. And I said, Matt, I don't know if you're on it or not. I said, I haven't worked there in quite some time. I left not exactly on good grounds. They wanted me out of there. After
none of us did.
No, it was, Tony, when Lou got canceled, I went balls to the wall against them. And and they wanted me gone. And they couldn't make it more apparent. And, I was the hardest working person on Lou's show, but it was the fact that I was so close with Lou that they didn't like that fact. But
of course.
Yeah, but Catherine Herridge, another one, a person with perhaps.
I could tell stories about how they went after her at the end.
100%.
By the way, for the record, she always held the high ground. She never went to their level.
Yep.
She could have dumped out on those people. And she thought about it. I'm going to say this. She thought about it. We talked about it. She took the high ground. She took the high road out. Just saying. So.
I believe they turned over all her confidential materials to people that they shouldn't have. They were spying on her. Yeah. She's a woman of extreme integrity, and she is, I have to say, probably the most brilliant investigative reporter that there possibly is out there. But honestly, you said Chris Farrell, Tony, to be on the no-fly list at Fox should be an honor. It means you go against everything that they stand for, and there's still
apparently
people who are fooled by this nonsense. But it's not just Fox. It's CNN. You've got this Natasha, I can't even say her name.
Natasha Bertrand,
who's out here, Tony, in my opinion, leaking top secret documents that the strikes weren't as successful as they say they were. Yeah. But they went after Donald Trump for this. For 700 years in jail, they wanted for leaking top secret documents that were in his pool room at Mar-a-Lago.
Right. So my friend Chris Plant calls her a scribe for the deep state, and he's called her that since she was at Politico. Just saying where she came from.
Garbage out.
And look, full disclosure, I've had some conversations with the Pentagon over the issue of defense intelligence. Just saying, and they were corrupt when I was a whistleblower. When Lou covered this back when he was at CNN, and we hit it again at Fox Business when he was over there. Defense Intelligence Agency came after me during the Bush administration, by the way, because I simply acknowledged We had a black operation targeting Al Qaeda. And oh, by the way, we identified 2 of the 3 cells which were going to conduct the attacks. And the lawyer shut us down. We couldn't share that with the FBI. Gee, I don't know, John. I think that's pretty significant information. Yep. But DIA can't, by the way, Army sided with me. God bless the Army, you know. DIA went the opposite way and came after me, because if it wasn't for the Army's defending me, protecting me, I would have been literally career-wise dead, because DIA was corrupt then. It's corrupt now. Nothing has changed in 25 years. Just saying.
Yep. They've got this new Netflix out. I don't know if you've seen it, on the 9/11 attacks with Osama. And I started a war at family dinner a few weeks ago with my sisters, who were telling me that the U.S. had no intel that any of this stuff was happening. George Bush would have never let this happen. And I said, go look up Able Danger, my friend Tony Shaffer, who identified this in January of 2001 and went to these people and told them what was going to happen and what they had found out, and was subsequently fired for it. So you go ahead and sit back and tell me that we had no idea any of this stuff was going to happen, and I'll tell you you're a liar.
Well, more to come on that, John. I don't want to give away everything, but we'll be in touch with you, because another investigative organization within DOD is actually verifying much of what we said in our initial. And so we'll be disclosing at some future date. And I don't want to give away who it is. People will be surprised, in a good way, though, that this organization has been doing an completely independent of us, by the way, investigation of the whole thing. And they're coming to the same conclusions. I've got a few briefings, and I'll be providing more information on that when they're ready to come forward. But it's going to be interesting.
Looking forward to it. A lot of people owe a lot of answers for a lot of people whose lives are lost. Before we wrap up, I want to get your take on Trump and Netanyahu announcing this morning, Tony, that within 2 weeks, the war in Gaza will be wrapped up. I mean, this is remarkable.
Well, I think that conversation between President Trump and Netanyahu probably wasn't very pleasant, because Trump's been on his ass. Just saying.
Yeah.
As Mark Rutte said, who's your daddy? Well, apparently it's President Trump. And I'm not surprised, because people don't understand this. President Trump could do more than one thing at once. Mm-hmm. So when things pop up, it's like I saw this thing the other day about CNN complaining about, MSNBC. Jane Psaki was complaining that Trump says, it's in 2 weeks, and people forget. No. Trump's pretty consistent. It's like, give me 2 weeks, it's going to happen. And it's not always 2 weeks, but he follows up and he's doing things. So notably at this point, John, he's been working the Gaza thing. Steve Wyckoff has been back there doing things which you would think diplomats would want to do. And Marco Rubio, I think Marco Rubio, being kind of the man doing everything from serving up plates of soup to being the National Security Council guy at the White House, plus running the State Department's a good thing, because you know this. If you want something done, give it to a busy guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely true. Real quickly, Tony, you mentioned Jen Psaki complaining about Trump's 2 week timeline. Wasn't this the queen of let me circle back with you on that?
Exactly. Yeah, she's circling back to being an idiot, just saying. So.
Oh, boy. Tony Shaffer, he's the president of Project Sentinel. You can catch him probably every night on Newsmax.
I'm doing a ton of stuff on Newsmax. That's why I can't join you half the time. But it's good seeing you, John.
Tony, it's always great seeing you. Come back soon, brother.
I will, with hopefully more news to break soon.
We better be the first to know.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thanks to Tony Shaffer, folks, and thank you all for being with us tonight here on The Great America Show. We always appreciate you spending part of your night with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.